Poor girl grabbed the wrong luggage after the holidays, never knowing a millionaire fell for her. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Emma had just finished her shift at the diner. The holiday season had come and gone, leaving behind a quiet lull, but Emma felt the weight of the holiday rush on her shoulders. The last few weeks had been exhausting, with barely enough time to breathe, let alone enjoy the festivities. She had spent most of her Christmas working, serving meals to families who were happy and content while she silently envied their warmth. With no family to spend the holidays with, Emma had been alone. As the last of the holiday decorations were taken down, she found herself heading to the airport, eager to escape for a short holiday break before returning to the grind. As she stood in the crowded baggage claim area, her eyes darted around, looking for her bag. Her shift had ended late, and now she was hoping to catch the first flight home to her small apartment. She needed this. She deserved this. Her phone buzzed, and for a brief moment, she looked away to check the message. When she glanced back up, her eyes landed on a black leather suitcase near the conveyor belt. It looked just like hers. Without thinking, she grabbed it and hurried off to find her cab. She had been so focused on getting out of the airport that she didn't even notice the man standing nearby, watching her. Liam Parker, a young and successful tech millionaire, had just returned from a business trip. He had been looking forward to some peace and quiet after the hectic holidays, but when he arrived at baggage claim, he noticed something strange. His suitcase, his prized possession, a leather bag that was hard to miss, was gone. In its place, someone had taken it. His frustration boiled over, but he couldn't help but smile when he saw the woman hurrying off. With his bag, she seemed so determined. The woman didn't notice him at first, but as she walked toward the exit, he caught up with her. "Excuse me," he said, his voice low but firm. Emma stopped in her tracks, her heart racing. She looked up at the man in confusion. "That's my suitcase," he continued, raising an eyebrow. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Emma said, her face flushing with embarrassment. "I thought it was mine. I must have grabbed the wrong one. I'm really sorry." She quickly handed him the suitcase, feeling the weight of her mistake. "It's no problem," Liam said with a reassuring smile, though a part of him felt an odd curiosity about her. The way she had reacted was different. He had expected a quick apology and a hasty exit, but instead, there was a sincerity in her voice, a realness that he hadn't encountered in a while. "Do you need a ride?" Liam offered, not knowing why he asked. Emma hesitated for a moment, unsure if she should accept a ride from a stranger. But then, she thought about her long day and the cold air outside, and she finally nodded. "Sure, if it's not too much trouble." As they walked toward the parking lot, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about this encounter. She hadn't meant to grab the wrong luggage, and she certainly hadn't expected a ride from a handsome stranger who seemed far too polished for her world. But Liam, for reasons he couldn't explain, felt drawn to her. As they got into the car, he couldn't help but wonder, was this just a random encounter, or was something more at play? As Emma settled into the car, she couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. It wasn't every day that a stranger offered a ride, let alone someone so well-dressed and polished. Liam Parker, with his perfectly tailored suit and the calm confidence that radiated from him, was the kind of man she had only seen in movies or read about in magazines. Yet here she was, sitting next to him, feeling out of place but oddly comforted by his presence. "So where to?" Liam asked, his voice smooth and easy, as if they had known each other for years. Emma hesitated, trying to shake off the nerves. Just the downtown area, please. I'm not far from there," she replied, trying to sound casual. "Sure thing," Liam nodded, his eyes focused on the road as he drove through the city. The air between them was thick with the hum of the car's engine and the occasional sound of traffic outside. Emma glanced at him from the corner of her eye. He seemed so collected, like he had everything figured out. She, on the other hand, felt like she was just barely keeping it all together. The diner shifts, the constant hustle to make ends meet, the loneliness that seemed to follow her wherever she went. It all weighed on her. She sighed softly, not realizing that Liam had noticed. "Long day?" he asked, his tone gentle but curious. Emma blinked, caught off guard. "Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's always a bit of a mad rush during the holidays. A lot of families celebrating, and I'm just trying to make enough to pay the bills," she answered, her voice quiet. Liam nodded, his grip on the steering wheel steady. "I get that. But there's more to life than just working nonstop, you know. You deserve a break, too." Emma chuckled lightly, her mind racing. She wasn't used to hearing such words from someone like him. People like Liam didn't have to worry about bills or working double shifts. "Yeah, well, a break would be nice. But for now, I just have to keep going," she said, trying to keep her tone light. Liam glanced at her again, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "You know, I think you've got a lot of potential. You've got that spark. Not many people can stay positive through everything life throws at them." Emma was taken aback by his words. She had always felt like just another face in the crowd, a waitress in a small town who wasn't going anywhere. But Liam made her feel like maybe, just maybe, there was something more to her story. As they approached her building, Liam slowed the car to a stop. "This is you?" he asked, his gaze briefly meeting hers. Emma nodded, feeling a strange flutter in her chest. "Yeah, thanks for the ride," she said, reaching for the door handle. But before she could open it, Liam spoke again. "Hey, if you ever want to talk or just grab coffee, let me know. I'd like to get to know you better." Emma froze for a moment, unsure of how to respond. Was he being sincere? Or was this just some kind of kindness out of pity? "Sure," she said finally, trying to hide the uncertainty in her voice. "Maybe." With that, she stepped out of the car and closed the door behind her, watching as Liam drove away. The sound of the engine faded into the distance, but the feeling of his words lingered in her mind. Was it possible that someone like him could see something in her that she couldn't even see in herself? She shook her head, dismissing the thought. It was probably nothing. But as she climbed the stairs to her apartment, she couldn't help but wonder if maybe, just maybe, this encounter was the beginning of something more than just a wrong luggage story. The days that followed were filled with the humdrum of everyday life. Emma couldn't help but think about the strange encounter with Liam every time she walked past the spot in her apartment where she had dropped the suitcase. It felt like a dream she couldn't quite shake off. As much as she tried to push the thoughts away, there was something about him, something genuine that stood out from the crowd of customers who passed through the diner every day. She tried to tell herself it was nothing, that people like him didn't notice people like her. But still, the memory of his words lingered. The offer to grab coffee. It wasn't something that happened to her. She had gotten used to being invisible, to being just another face in the crowd. Yet with Liam, it felt different. It was a Friday evening when she saw him again. She had just finished her shift and was walking to her car when she spotted him across the street. He was standing outside a trendy cafe, looking at something on his phone, his back straight and his eyes focused, as always. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected to run into him so soon. But as if fate was pushing them together, here he was. She hesitated for a moment, wondering if it was weird to approach him again. But then, as if on cue, he looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Emma," he called out, his voice warm. "Fancy running into you here." Emma felt the color rise in her cheeks. "Hey, Liam," she said, trying to sound casual. "I didn't expect to see you again so soon." He grinned, and there was something about his smile that made her feel both nervous and at ease. "I couldn't help but think about our last conversation," he said, stepping closer. "I know it's been a while, but I'd still like to take you up on that coffee offer. What do you say?" She paused. There was no reason not to, really. They had spoken for all of 5 minutes last time, but she was intrigued. Maybe it was just the curiosity, or maybe something more. "Sure," she said, her voice soft but steady. "Coffee sounds good." Liam's eyes lit up, and without missing a beat, he guided her toward the cafe. It was a cozy spot, with warm lighting and the scent of fresh pastries in the air. They found a quiet corner, and as soon as they sat down, the conversation flowed naturally. They talked about everything, about her work at the diner, her love for art, his work in the tech world, and his recent travels. Emma found herself laughing, enjoying the conversation more than she had expected. For the first time in a while, she felt seen, not for her job or her struggles, but for who she was. "You're really passionate about painting, huh?" Liam asked, his voice sincere. Emma smiled a bit shyly. "Yeah, It's something I've always loved, but it's hard to find time for it. Maybe one day I'll be able to do more with it. You should, he said with a knowing look. There's something special about seeing someone chase their dreams, no matter how big or small. Emma's heart skipped again. She wasn't used to being encouraged like this. Maybe one day, she repeated softly, her voice trailing off. As they finished their coffee, Liam leaned back in his chair, looking thoughtful. I really enjoy talking to you, Emma. I'm glad you agreed to meet again. Emma felt her nerves ease. I'm glad too. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, her life was starting to change. Maybe she wasn't invisible after all. The next few weeks flew by, and Emma found herself spending more time with Liam. What had started as a casual coffee date quickly blossomed into something deeper. They met regularly. Whether it was at cozy cafes, small art galleries, or during long walks through the park, Liam seemed genuinely interested in her life, her passions, and her dreams. It was a stark contrast to the people she had encountered in her world. People who often saw her as nothing more than a waitress, a girl who would always stay in the background. But with Liam, she felt like she mattered. As for Liam, Emma could tell something had shifted in him. His usual reserved demeanor softened when they were together. He shared stories about his travels, his work in the tech industry, and even some personal struggles he had faced. It wasn't just the polished, successful version of him that he presented to the world. It was the real Liam, the one who had dreams, fears, and vulnerabilities, just like her. One evening, as they sat at a small Italian restaurant, Liam surprised her with a question. Have you ever thought about pursuing your art professionally? He asked, his eyes focused on her with an intensity that made her feel like she was the only person in the room. Emma's fork paused mid-air, and for a brief moment, she didn't know how to answer. I'd love to, but, life gets in the way, she said, setting the fork down and looking at her plate. I'm just a waitress. I don't have the luxury to think about dreams like that. Liam reached across the table, gently lifting her chin with his fingers so she would meet his gaze. Don't sell yourself short, Emma. You have talent. I've seen the way your eyes light up when you talk about painting. You should follow that passion, no matter what. Emma felt a lump in her throat. It wasn't that she hadn't thought about pursuing her art. It was just that life had a way of crushing dreams, making them seem impossible to reach. She had always been told that dreams were for people who had time and money, neither of which she had. But Liam's words made something inside her stir. I don't know, she said quietly. What if I fail? What if it's not enough? Liam smiled softly, his expression full of understanding. Failure is part of the journey, but at least you'll know you tried. And besides, I believe in you. His words lingered in the air, and for the first time, in a long time, Emma felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe she could do more than just survive. Maybe she could actually chase her dreams. Thank you, Liam, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Liam's smile grew wider. No need to thank me. Just promise me you'll think about it. Promise me you'll take that first step. That night, as Emma walked back to her apartment, her heart felt lighter than it had in months. She didn't have all the answers, and she wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time, she felt like she had someone who believed in her. And maybe, just maybe, that was all she needed to start making her dreams a reality. The following weeks brought a new sense of possibility into Emma's life. She still worked the same shifts at the diner, still faced the same financial struggles, but now there was something different. She had a renewed sense of hope, a spark that had been reignited by Liam's belief in her. Every time she picked up a paintbrush, it felt like she was getting closer to something bigger, something that might actually change her life. Liam continued to be a constant presence, but it wasn't just his support for her art that made a difference. It was the way he saw her, not just the waitress, not just the girl struggling to get by, but as someone with real potential. And it wasn't just words. He'd invite her to art exhibitions, introduce her to people in the creative world, and share his connections. Slowly, Emma began to believe that maybe, just maybe, her dream of being an artist wasn't so far out of reach. One afternoon, as she sat in a small gallery, admiring some of the works on display, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see Liam standing there, a smile on his face. I thought I'd find you here, he said, his voice warm. I wanted to talk to you about something. Emma raised an eyebrow, curious. What's up? Well, Liam began, his expression serious. I've been talking to a few people in the art world, and I think you're ready for the next step. There's an opportunity to showcase your work in a group exhibition next month. It's a big deal, and I think it could be your breakthrough." Emma's heart skipped a beat. An exhibition. A real one. She had always dreamed of showing her paintings, but she had never imagined it would happen so soon. I don't know if I'm ready," she stammered, suddenly feeling overwhelmed. "What if my work isn't good enough?" Liam smiled softly, his eyes reassuring. "You won't know unless you try. And I'm confident in you, Emma. You've got something special." For a moment, Emma was silent. She had come so far, and now this was the chance she had been waiting for. But doubts crept into her mind. What if she failed? What if she wasn't cut out for this? Liam seemed to sense her hesitation. "Emma, you've been working towards this for so long. You're ready. You just need to believe in yourself the way I believe in you." His words hit her hard. She had been hiding behind her insecurities for so long, but this was her moment. "Okay," she said finally, her voice steady. "I'll do it. I'll take the chance." Liam's face lit up with a smile, and Emma couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement mixed with fear. She didn't know exactly what the future held, but for the first time, she felt like she had control over her destiny. The following weeks were a whirlwind of preparation. Emma worked tirelessly, selecting her best pieces, refining them, and preparing herself for the exhibition. There were moments of doubt, moments where she questioned whether she was truly ready, but Liam's support kept her going. He'd check in on her, offer encouragement, and help in any way he could. And when the day of the exhibition finally arrived, Emma stood in front of her paintings, her heart racing. The gallery was filled with people, all admiring her work, and for the first time, she felt like she truly belonged in this world. Liam was there too, standing by her side, looking at her with pride. "You did it," he said quietly. "You took the leap." Emma smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude. It wasn't just the exhibition or the recognition she was getting that made this moment special. It was the fact that she had dared to believe in herself, and that belief had led her here. The exhibition was a turning point for Emma. It wasn't just the recognition or the opportunity to show her work to a room full of strangers. It was the realization that she had taken control of her life. The self-doubt that had once held her back began to fade, replaced by a new sense of confidence. She had always believed her dreams were out of reach, but now she was seeing the fruits of her hard work, and it felt surreal. As the night went on, Emma found herself surrounded by admirers, some who praised her work, others who asked about her future plans. It was a whirlwind, but through it all, she could feel Liam's presence. He stood by her side, offering quiet encouragement and support. "You're doing great," he whispered every time someone stopped to comment on her art. As the evening came to a close, Emma felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She had done it. She had taken the leap, and it had paid off. Liam, seeing the joy in her eyes, pulled her aside. "I'm so proud of you," he said, his voice filled with pride. Emma smiled, her heart swelling with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for believing in me." Liam's expression softened. "You did all the work, Emma. I just helped you see what was always there." His words lingered in the air, and for a brief moment, the noise of the gallery faded away. It was just the two of them, standing in the glow of the evening, both silently acknowledging how far they had come. As the weeks passed, things between Emma and Liam continued to evolve. They grew closer, their connection deepening with every conversation. But as Emma's life started to change, so did her perception of her future. She had always dreamed of being an artist, but now she was faced with the reality of balancing her newfound success with the life she had known. It wasn't easy. She still worked long hours at the diner, still had to manage her finances carefully, and still struggled with the occasional wave of insecurity. But with Liam by her side, she felt like she could face it all. One evening, as they sat together at the small cafe they frequented, Liam looked at her with a serious expression. "I've been thinking," he began, his voice cautious, "about what you're doing next. You've got the talent, but I know how hard it is to juggle everything. Would you ever consider taking a step back from the diner, focusing more on your art?" Emma's eyes widened. The idea of giving up her job, even temporarily, felt like a huge leap. She had always depended on that income and the security it provided. But Liam's words hung in the air, tempting her to consider a different path. "I don't know if I can," she admitted, her voice wavering. "It feels like too big of a risk. I can't just walk away from everything." Liam reached across the table, taking her hand in his. You don't have to walk away completely, he said softly. But you could give yourself the chance to see what you're capable of. Take a risk for yourself, for your art. You've already taken the first step by showing your work. The next step is trusting yourself enough to take it further. Emma stared down at their hands, her mind racing. Could she really take the leap? Could she trust herself enough to make this dream her reality? She thought of everything she had gone through to get to this point, and a small voice inside her whispered that maybe it was time to take that risk. Okay, she said finally, her voice steady. I'll give it a try. I'll focus on my art. Liam smiled, his eyes bright. I know you will. And I'll be here, supporting you every step of the way. Emma smiled back, feeling a rush of gratitude. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was ready to take control of her future, ready to follow her dreams without looking back. It had been a few months since Emma made the decision to focus on her art. The leap of faith she had taken felt both terrifying and exhilarating. She spent her days working on her paintings, refining her skills, and finding new inspiration. It wasn't easy. There were days when self-doubt crept in, and the fear of failure felt overwhelming. But with each brushstroke, Emma felt more confident in her abilities. She no longer saw herself as just a waitress, but as an artist with a purpose. During this time, Liam continued to be her rock. He never pushed her, but his presence, his belief in her, kept her going even on the hardest days. They spent countless hours together, talking about everything from art to life, sharing their hopes and dreams. For the future, one evening, after a long day of painting, Emma sat on the couch in her small apartment, exhausted but content. Liam had been particularly supportive lately, encouraging her to push her boundaries and take on new projects. He had introduced her to people in the art world, people who could help her take her work to the next level. You're doing amazing things, Emma, Liam said one night as they sat on the couch together. I've seen the progress you've made, and I'm proud of you. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. I couldn't have done it without you, she said, her voice soft. You've believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Liam's eyes softened, and he reached over to gently take her hand. You've always had the talent, Emma. All I did was help you see it. But the real credit goes to you. Emma looked down at their hands, a rush of emotion flooding her. She had never expected to be here, in this place, with him. Her life had changed in ways she hadn't imagined. But now, she could see a future filled with possibilities. Still, despite all the progress she had made, there was something nagging at her. She knew Liam had been hinting at something more, something she hadn't quite been ready to address. He had been there for her every step of the way, supporting her dreams, but she hadn't yet opened up to him about her own feelings. That night, as they sat in the quiet of her apartment, Emma decided it was time to confront the unspoken tension between them. Liam, I need to tell you something, she began, her voice trembling slightly. He looked at her, his expression soft and patient. What is it, Emma? I've been thinking a lot lately about us, she said, her heart racing. You've done so much for me, and I can't help but feel like, I don't know, like there's something more between us. I just don't want to ruin the connection we have. Liam's expression remained unreadable, but his grip on her hand tightened slightly. Emma, you're not ruining anything, he said quietly. I've been feeling the same way. Her heart skipped a beat, and she felt a surge of relief wash over her. You have? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Liam nodded, his eyes meeting, hers with a sincerity that took her breath away. Yes, I care about you, Emma, more than I've cared about anyone in a long time. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had always admired Liam, but hearing him say those words made everything feel real, like their connection was no longer just a dream. I care about you too, she whispered, the words finally slipping out. They sat there in silence for a moment, the weight of their unspoken feelings hanging in the air. And in that moment, everything shifted. The uncertainty, the doubt, the fear, they all melted away. Emma realized that she didn't need to keep hiding from what was right in front of her. The journey she had started wasn't just about her art or her career. It was about opening herself up to new possibilities, new experiences, and maybe, just maybe, a future with Liam. As they sat there, hand in hand, Emma knew that no matter what happened next, she was ready to take the next step in her life. And this time, she wasn't doing it alone. The weeks following that night marked a new chapter for Emma. She and Liam grew closer, their bond deepening as they navigated the complexities of their relationship. The unspoken weight between them had been lifted, and now they were free to explore the possibilities ahead. Emma's art continued to thrive, and with Liam's continued support, she found herself gaining more recognition in the art world. Invitations to showcase her work at local galleries became more frequent, and each new exhibition brought her closer to her dream. But it wasn't just her art that was growing, it was her sense of self. For the first time in her life, Emma felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. However, with this new success came new challenges. Emma found herself torn between her work at the diner, which had always been a source of stability, and her growing art career, which was demanding more of her time and energy. It was a delicate balance, one that often left her exhausted and uncertain. One evening, as she sat in her apartment after another long day, Liam called. "Hey, how's it going?" he asked, his voice warm and familiar. Emma leaned back against the couch, letting out a deep sigh. "It's been a tough day. I feel like I'm constantly juggling everything, and it's starting to wear on me." There was a pause on the other end of the line before Liam spoke again. "I've been thinking about you, Emma, and I think you deserve more. More than this constant struggle to make ends meet, more than the exhaustion from trying to do everything. Have you ever thought about making a change?" Emma blinked in surprise. "What do you mean?" she asked, her heart racing slightly. "I mean, you don't have to keep working at the diner if it's holding you back," Liam continued. "You've got the talent, you've got the drive. You've already proven that you can succeed in the art world. Maybe it's time to take the leap and focus on your art full-time." The words hung in the air, and Emma felt a rush of conflicting emotions. On the one hand, the idea of leaving the diner behind felt terrifying. It was the only steady income she had, the only thing that gave her any sense of security. But on the other hand, Liam's words made her feel like maybe she was ready for something bigger. "I don't know, Liam," Emma said, her voice soft. "It's not that simple. I've got bills to pay, rent to cover. I can't just walk away from that." Liam's tone softened, his voice filled with understanding. "I get it. But you don't have to do this alone. You've got people who believe in you, including me. I want to help, Emma. I want to see you succeed." Emma's heart swelled with gratitude, but a part of her still hesitated. Could she really take that risk? Could she trust herself enough to make that leap? "I'm scared, Liam," she admitted, her voice cracking slightly. "What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail?" Liam was quiet for a moment before responding. "Failure isn't the end, Emma. It's just a step on the journey. And I promise you, if it doesn't work out, we'll figure it out together. You don't have to be afraid of failure as long as you have the courage to try." Emma's thoughts raced as she processed his words. Maybe it was time. Maybe it was time to finally take control of her future, to trust herself enough to take that leap. After a long pause, she spoke again. "Okay," she said, her voice steady. "I'll do it. I'll take the leap." Liam's response was immediate. "I knew you would. And I'm with you every step of the way." The next morning, Emma woke up with a sense of clarity. She had made her decision. It wasn't going to be easy, but she was ready to take the risk and focus on her art full-time. As she prepared to step into this new chapter of her life, she realized that she wasn't alone. Liam had been there for her from the start, and with his support, she knew she could face whatever came next. This was her moment, her chance to truly follow her dreams. And she was ready to embrace it. Months passed since Emma made the decision to follow her art full-time, and every day she woke up feeling more certain that she had made the right choice. With Liam's support and encouragement, she dove into her passion, working tirelessly to improve her skills and create new pieces. Her work began to gain more recognition, and soon, her name started circulating in the art community. Invitations to showcase her work poured in, and Emma knew that the leap she had taken was paying off. But it wasn't just her art that was flourishing. Her relationship with Liam had deepened as well. They spent more time together, not just as artist and mentor, but as partners in every sense of the word. Their connection had evolved into something stronger, something built on mutual respect, trust, and a shared vision for the future. One evening, as Emma finished hanging the final piece in her latest exhibition, she felt a sense of pride and accomplishment unlike anything she had ever experienced before. She had come so far, and yet, it felt like this was just the beginning. Liam was by her side, as always, his eyes full of admiration. "You did it," he said softly, his voice full of pride. Emma smiled, her heart swelling. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied. Liam chuckled, shaking his head. "You've always had it in you, Emma. I just helped you see it." They stood there for a moment, taking in the room filled with Emma's work. It was a dream come true, and yet, it felt like it was only the beginning of something even greater. As the exhibition opened to the public, Emma was approached by a well-known art critic who had come to see her work. The critic was impressed by Emma's talent and asked about her future plans. With a smile, Emma replied, "I'm just getting started." The critic nodded, clearly impressed. "Keep an eye on her," he said to the people around him. "She's going to be a star." As the evening wore on and people came and went, Emma realized that this was the life she had always dreamed of. She had taken risks, faced her fears, and followed her passion. But more than that, she had found love, support, and encouragement in Liam. He had been there for her from the very beginning, and now, they stood side by side, ready to face whatever the future held. As the night came to a close, Liam turned to Emma, a playful glint in his eyes. "You know," he said, "I think it's time for a celebration." Emma raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Oh, really? What do you have in mind?" Liam smiled, his hand gently taking hers. "A celebration of everything you've achieved, of everything we've built together." Without another word, he led her to the balcony, where a surprise awaited. A small table set up with candles, wine, and a beautiful view of the city skyline. As they sat together, the glow of the candles casting a soft light on their faces, Liam took Emma's hand in his expression tender and sincere. "Emma," he began, his voice low, "I've watched you grow, watched you chase your dreams, and I've never been more proud of you. And I want to be there, every step of the way, for the rest of our lives." Emma's heart skipped a beat as she looked into his eyes. "Liam," she whispered, her voice full of emotion, "I can't imagine my life without you." With a soft smile, Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Opening it, he revealed a delicate ring. "Emma, will you marry me?" he asked, his voice full of love and certainty. Emma's eyes filled with tears as she nodded, her voice trembling. "Yes, yes, of course." In that moment, everything fell into place. The journey she had started, the leap of faith she had taken, had led her to this moment. A life filled with love, art, and the promise of a future with someone who believed in her more than she ever thought possible. As Liam slid the ring onto her finger, Emma knew that their story was only just beginning. Together, they had built something beautiful, and the best was yet to come. In this captivating story, we dive deep into the world of a young woman who transforms her life through an unexpected encounter with a millionaire. From the moment she mistakenly grabs the wrong luggage after the holidays, she is unknowingly pulled into a journey that will change her destiny. This tale is one of self-discovery, perseverance, and love, showcasing the challenges and triumphs of following your dreams. With each new step, the woman embraces her potential, inspired by the unwavering support of the millionaire who believes in her more than she believes in herself. As she begins to trust in her abilities, her art flourishes, and her life takes a turn toward success. Along the way, she learns not just about her own resilience, but also about love, support, and what it truly means to follow your passion. Like many millionaire stories, this one is filled with moments of doubt, but also with breakthroughs and the eventual realization that dreams are worth pursuing. The journey is not just about financial success, but about finding the courage to take risks and step into the unknown. As their connection grows, the woman finds herself not just chasing her artistic dreams, but also building a future with someone who understands her worth. In the end, the story of this woman and the millionaire is a beautiful reminder that sometimes the most unexpected moments can lead to life-changing opportunities. This inspiring story is one of many millionaire stories that highlight the power of taking chances and believing in yourself. For anyone looking for motivation, this journey serves as a testament to the power of kindness, risk-taking, and the belief that anything is possible when you take a leap of faith. Millionaire stories like this one show that true wealth is found not just in material success, but in the relationships we build and the passion we nurture. As the woman embarks on her new life, she realizes that the best is yet to come, proving that millionaire stories are often not just about money, but about love, dreams, and the courage to pursue them.